Hi everyone. Today in BIM Hacks, I will show you how can you make the shared parameters of your company in Revit. Let's start. Okay, today I will explain to you how to create your shared parameters for your company. I have the solution that you can create all these shared parameters all at once and import them in such one file each time you start a new project. But before, create the shared parameters using the Manage tab in Revit and then go to Settings and the tool Shared Parameter here. In this case, you have to create a new text file, for example, standard shared parameters, this one. Save it, and then you browse it. You create a new group for your shared parameters, for example, properties. From this group, you will start create your parameters one by one. For example, the width, and you choose the discipline, for example, common, and the width is the length, and okay. In this case, if you use Revit, then the problem at once you created these parameters, you cannot change it at all. For example, if you go to its properties again, you can see that all properties of these parameters are in gray, which means that you cannot change it anymore. You cannot change the type, you cannot change the discipline, even you cannot change the name. We have another tool which is add-in or a plugin called Deroot. This tab of the company Deroot, you can find it on deroot.com. You can from this website download Deroots 1 totally free, and then free download, and you can give them your name, email, and country, and they will give you the link for downloading plugin in Revit. So here we have the Deroot ones, and you can see that we have many panels and tools that can help us in many other tasks. But for this subject with the shared parameters, we need the Para Manager tool. In this Para Manager tool, we will create all the shared parameters of your company all at once and can be saved as a text file or a CSV Excel file, and each time you start a new project, you can import whatever file you want. And another benefit, these parameters can be edited. You can edit discipline in any time while you are working on your project. If you decided with your company which shared parameters you want, the first thing you have to do is to create an Excel file that can arrange all the parameters that you need for the company and what the type of this parameter. In my case, I created sheets for a group of these parameters, and I give them the number, a specific name, and I specify the type, the group, and the type of these parameters. So I created about 10 groups for my company, which includes electrical properties, plumbing properties. You can find a copy of this Excel file in my article on Medium. We can have an example how to create the shared parameters. We will start with the group which call it project information, which include the name of the architects, the name of the company, as you can see from the screen. We cannot create all of them, but I will show you some examples of each group. We go back to here in the Para Manager, we have many tabs, but we will use the tab Parameters. In this tab, you can add parameters manually, or you can import Excel, or you can import shared parameters as a text file. But in this case, we don't have any file, and this file that I showed you is not valid to be used in this case. To do so, we have to go back to Revit and create all our parameters manually. I know it will take time, but at least after you create all your parameters, you can use the file, you can export it as an Excel file or TXT file, and you can use it each time you start a new project. So let me show you how to create the parameters manually in Deroot. First open, you can find the all parameters that are available in the project that is already open. In this case, we have this empty project file, but you can see that we have an existing shared parameters called occupy. If you don't need it, just click on it and delete parameters. Now we don't have any shared parameters in this project file. So we will start to add new parameter, and you can copy the name and you go back to Para Manager, and here you can rename and now you can change wherever you want. As we can see from the Excel, it should be a type and general group and text. So we go back to Revit again. It should be discipline common, should be text file under the group, which is general, and it should be a type, not an instance. So we created the first parameter and we continue with the other parameters with the same way. You can add as much parameters as you want, and each time you copy the name, leave, and go on. If you do not need any parameters, just delete them. We have now 4 parameters: 100, 101, 102, 103. They should be text and should be all type. You can select all of them and just change one, and should be all type, and select all of them and change this to general. We created now 4 parameters. Go to the next. We go to the next, which is categories. Now we have choose the category of families to see these shared parameters in the properties of these categories. For architects, BIM manager, BIM modeler, we use these shared parameters for the project information. In this case, we select all of them and then click here assign category to assign this category for all the selected parameters. Okay, here, and we search for project information. Click on it and okay, and you can see that we assigned these 4 parameters for the category project information. Now we will click on apply. So you can notice here that there is a green check sign, which means that the shared parameters were assigned to this project. We can notice that still have the ability to change the group and change if it's instance or type. In case if you worked on Revit, these properties cannot be changed. So let's have another example. We can work on dimension. We go back to the root. We add 3 parameters. The first one can be an area. Okay, let's take different parameters. Depth. And the fourth one, we can take volume. So we go back to the root. For area, we have to choose area. For the depth, it should be length. And for the volume, it should be a volume. We can work all 3 at once, and the group should be dimension, an instance. So we go to next. Here we can apply the categories or family categories that you want. First, you need uncheck all the parameters, and then check the parameters that you want assign categories on. And then you have to click on all of them and then assign category. In this case, you can choose which discipline, and this thing should be discussed with your team and your manager to decide which categories you need these shared parameters to be used for. Okay, not all. For example, architecture, structural, and general. And you can check all of them, and then you can decide which one is not valid. For example, analytical lengths, grids, you don't need dimensions, lines, levels, and click OK. So you can see that all categories are assigned for 3 parameters, and then click apply. Task is done. You can add as much parameters as you want. Let me add more parameters and we go back and show you how to export and import shared parameters in your project. So after I created all the parameters as in the Excel, as you can see, that organizes their type parameters, their group, their type or instance, and etc. Also their categories. And I applied all the parameters. As you can see, they are in green, which means that I applied in the project file. If you check anything in this project file, you can find that there's shared parameters all in this file. For example, for this level, if you check its properties, properties, you can see that we have some shared parameters like identity data. We have the sort level 1, sort level 2, etc. We have visibility like discipline, and they are instance. That's why they are here in the properties palette. For example, put a wall. So if you select this wall, you can find in the properties shared parameters that we applied for the wall. For example, we have material finishes, dimensions. If you edit type, you can see some shared parameters. We have the code revision, the copyright, which they are under identity data. We have the IFC parameters, all of them. So as you can see that we apply the all shared parameters of our company, and from this file, you can use this file as a template for your company by going to File, Save as Template. And now you can create your official template for your company with all the shared parameters. Each time you start a new project, you can use the template for your project. Otherwise, there is another solution. Go back to the para manager and you can export all these shared parameters as an Excel file or as TXT file, so you can use it the next time the new projects in the future. So when you go to import export, and you can export it as an Excel. Okay, here you selected all of them, and here you can check open Excel after export. So export, and you can save it whenever you want. For example, company official shared parameters. Okay, so save. It takes a while. Okay, so the file was opened, and you can see that Revit created a special Excel file for the shared parameters, so you can use this file for your next project. All the data is existed, also the categories, so you don't need to add these parameters all over again manually. Another thing, if you go to export shared parameters as a TXT file, so here you can go to export. Okay, official. You can use the name of your company and save. And here we go. If we go to the file, we can find this shared parameters, this TXT file, and you can see that is organized, programmed in the way that can Revit understand it for the next use. There are actually many ways to import and export and add shared parameters. This plugin, which is DRoot, is very important and make your life easier. If you open a new project, you can use the template that you save it with all shared parameters. If you don't have, and you have the Excel and the TXT file, you can just open a new project file. Okay, you can see here we don't have any shared parameters. So we go to DRoot again, para manager. So here, go back to import export, import from Excel, our file, and open. Select them all, import. So we have now all the shared parameters at once that you don't need to organize them all over again. If you go to the next, and here also you can find all the categories, and also you can change them and just apply. You can use import from Excel, or you can import shared parameters TXT file be used. They have the same result. Yeah, here sometimes you get warnings about some parameters, but that's okay, just close. And you go back again, and you can search for any ping parameter and check them, which means that these parameters were not added to the file. After selecting them, just click apply, and they are all completed now. So here we go, we have this new project, and all the shared parameters now in our project. Doesn't take more than minutes. Thank you so much, and enjoy your shared parameter.